I'm going to give you some tips in this video that I guarantee you have not heard before. So whether you're a Battlefield veteran or playing for the first time, here are 36 tips to help you instantly improve. I've sectioned these out into settings, guns, vehicles, and more. So if you've heard a tip before and want some details on vehicles, for example, use the chapters on the video. And as always, if you have any useful tips, this community is incredible. Leave them in the comments and thumbs up any good ones to help you go. So on launch, any settings that you did have in the beta, if you played, will be wiped. Fortunately, we do have a firing range for the first time in Battlefield. You can even hop in this while queued, tweak those settings before you actually go into play. If you're on mouse and key, you can use a website. I'll link one down below to calculate your 360 turn radius. It's actually built into the settings. It'll tell you the 360 distance in inches and centimeters, and you can actually use the arrow keys to go to decimal point levels to fine-tune that sense. You'll have to do this for both normal gameplay on infantry as well as vehicles. There's already enough visually shaking in Battlefield 6, so head to your settings, go to graphics, scroll down to camera settings, decrease the camera shake. You can also change your settings for HUD to make sure this isn't moving around. While you're here, turn your weapon and world motion blur off, chromatic aberrations off, film grain off. While we're staying in the same section of settings, adjust your FOV out to 110 to 115 is where I like to keep it in this, especially because you do get into longer range engagements, but you're playing a lot of close range. 120 widens everything out. For sure, though, vehicle FOV, I recommend maxing this all the way out, whether you are in the jets wanting to see the peripherals and spot the other jet that you're trying to tail, or you are in a tank wanting to catch an infantry running up on you, especially in third person. You want to see everything. I also recommend changing your weapon field of view to wide. This will make it so that your gun is actually a little bit smaller, takes up less space, lets you see more. If you played Battlefield 4, I can almost guarantee when you've loaded up, you've hopped into a helicopter and crashed it immediately. Probably because your controls are inverted and you're not used to that. Specifically on the helicopter, I like to play rifle aim, where I control my mouse up, down, left, right for aiming. A lot of people like to do this on controller as well. Regardless, we should have portal modes once this is out that you can go in and practice in some helicopter settings. Once some of those get created, I'll leave some codes in the description down below and server names. For jets, I like to keep it inverted, and if you want to do this, rather than going to the settings gameplay and setting invert all vertical look, and then go to the individual flight controls for heli and jet, and when you click the settings, mouse up or down respectively on the pitch up and down to swap those. Information is everything in a game like Battlefield, so being able to read your HUD is key. Head into the graphics interface and HUD. There's some advanced HUD settings. By increasing your HUD padding, you can bring those elements in closer to the center of your screen. This will make it so you can look down in the bottom corner a little easier on your map. You can also increase the size of your map, the amount of detail that it's giving you. Head into System, Minimap, edit this. You can set the map to large, but more importantly, you can change the view distance on foot. 250, I think, is probably good enough. It's going to give you a lot of detail in your map, but definitely for ground vehicles and air, I would recommend keeping this wide so you can spot where enemy tanks or jets are on that minimap. If you also prefer when flying to have your camera stay with the horizon rather than rotate with the plane, head over to mouse and key. Vehicles under control settings, you'll find the third-person aircraft camera roll. You can turn that off. This is the helicopter binds for rifle aim on mouse and key. You can also change the HUD icons, specifically here when you are zoomed in. This is where you would want the opacity to be the lowest, so your aiming and the other UI is not cluttering your screen, as well as if something is occluded or it's basically behind a wall, not in your line of sight, you can typically turn that down. I would recommend keeping the friendly icons at least a little bit up when you're zoomed so you don't just shoot your teammates a bunch, as I've done a lot even in the beta, and make sure your enemy icons stay up. And if you are on mouse and key, make sure you at least set your space bar for pitch up or down, depending on how you've inverted your controls, with left alt as the pitch down. This will allow you to infinitely keep on rolling without having to constantly pull your mouse down. Now, let's get into some of the juicier stuff with some gameplay tips. When you first start the game, of course, you're going to start with nothing. Any progress that you made in the beta will be gone, but Battlefield 6's challenge system allows you to fast-track your way to weapons, vehicle skins, and a lot more. Under the challenges tab, not only are there dailies, which you can set to track, you'll be able to view these in-game, but there's also assignments that you can complete. There are weapon, classes, and even unit challenges. And in addition, you get bonus XP for being in a party or playing with friends. You're looking for people to play with, join in on our Discord server. We've got 60,000 plus members there. Always people looking for games. Training paths will have a huge impact on how you actually play the game. Choosing a training path is kind of like a set of perks that you have. If you are a vehicle player, rather than being able to take them out, you can switch to the combat engineer training path that'll automatically heal your vehicle when you get inside of it. When it goes critical, the heat buildup in your gadget is 50% slower, so you can repair way more vehicles. Regardless of the training path you go down, each class will have kind of an ultimate type of ability, the engineer with the super repair tool. And if you want to unlock these early, you can see the combat engineer here. If I hit F, I can go to the actual tree, simply get some repairs, earn score. That will unlock the first step, and you can instantly unlock the second here to get that path. You kind of need to play a role in Battlefield. That's the entire point of the class system. So pay attention to what your training path is and what loadout you're using, mainly the kit and equipment, to help deal with what the situation is calling for. Whether you're on breakthrough, playing assault, pulling out the spawn beacon to push an objective, or on conquest, if you have constant tank fire, taking something that can successfully counter that, like a javelin or RPG. And you'll note what I just mentioned there on the subject of classes. Recon no longer has that spawn beacon. That has been moved to the assault class. This is done to promote a more aggressive play style, help initiate flanks. You can also spawn faster on the assault. Their combat ladder can go very high, but if you angle it just right, then you don't need to actually climb up the ladder. This is the only class that has access to stuns and flashbangs. And if you see this first gadget slot, it can be a weapon, but it can also be an additional gadget if you don't want to bring another gun with you. If you decide to only have one gun and take this off, you will then have more ammo for this gun. Otherwise, the ammo's split between both of the weapons. Just because Recon lost their spawn beacon, though, does not mean that they're not powerful. The laser designator allows you to plant this on the ground and remotely use a tripod. Make sure you are holding down the trigger to actually paint enemy targets. That'll allow your teammates to lock on and destroy vehicles, or throw on the tracer dart to just quickly shoot it at a tank and run away. You will auto spot as a Recon, and it is even crazier in the Recon drone. The thermal vision, make sure it is on when you're using this, and the laser designator is very clear to use, and your team will thank you for it. Also, please be putting your motion sensor down as often as you get it. And if you want to counter an enemy motion sensor, if you hear one going near you, as long as you are crouched or prone, it cannot pick you up. Or, of course, if you're stationary. Speaking of thermals, though, quickly on the support class, this is the only class that has smokes in the game. The rest of the classes were taken away from it. So I highly recommend utilizing that, or even a smoke launcher if you want to bring this as one of your gadgets. You also don't need to bring the defibs, especially with the combat medic training. You will res more quickly and drag more quickly. On that note, be stationary when you're resing somebody. It will go quicker. But of course, the defibs are incredible. And even more important for anybody that's running support, keep throwing that supply bag down. You can run up to a support and grab meds off of them, but you cannot grab ammo off of them. And there's been a great improvement to how the supply bag works. You're not going to see a ring around it on the ground anymore, but your equipment will recharge while you are within the range of a supply bag. And if you ever step out of that range, or the support throws it down somewhere else, yours despawns, it will actually save that progress towards your recharge for your equipment. So go find another bag if you're looking for one, and supports keep throwing those down. One other pro tip for the engineer: the sledgehammer is phenomenal. It lets you break down doors and really any soft cover, but it doesn't allow you to run as fast as the combat knife or hunting knife. However, if you pull out that repair torch, you'll still move at sprint speed with a knife. So you can carry the sledgehammer without having to bring the knife. Just pull that torch out when you're trying to sprint, which, if you didn't pick up, pulling out your knife lets you run faster. Hold down your melee key and you'll pull that out to traverse distance. There's no tactical sprint or traversal sprint, as it was formerly called in Battlefield, in this game anymore. That ultimate ability or active ability, I'll go through the rest of them. There's a super fast repair torch for the engineer. Recon has a UAV that they can put in the sky. This can also be locked onto by anti-air stingers, as well as anti-air missiles from helicopters and jets. Good way to get some extra XP on those and help your ground units. But you will, I promise, forget to pop these. It seems pretty subtle, but it's on the right side of your screen in the middle. These are manually activated. Support will allow for faster defense defib resing, as well as faster munitions resupply. And Assault gives an adrenaline effect to your entire squad, not actually healing them, but temporarily increasing sprint speed while reducing explosive and incendiary damage, also giving you resistance to things like flashes and stuns that Assault can use. If you are sniping in Battlefield, the rangefinder is pretty much a must-have perk. This will automatically zero your scope for the distance that you're aiming. To do this, hold B or whatever that toggle ammunition is for you. To set that zeroing, just hold down the button to switch your fire mode from single to semi-auto and full auto, whatever the gun might be. Hold that button down. It's B by default on PC. It takes about a second to register, but then you'll see the zeroing amount will lock to the exact distance that you're aiming. Mostly effective for very long range. A lot of people thought this should have been nerfed from the beta and shouldn't even be in the game, but it's there. It doesn't cost too many points once you unlock it. Fun fact, if you pre-ordered the game, the Drop Shadow Sniper actually features the rangefinder. If you don't have a rangefinder, you can still cycle between the range that this sniper is zeroed for in increments of 100. So in this, often bullet velocity is really going to determine more your lead that you're putting on shots rather than the drop, but you still keep in mind where you're zeroed. If you are a support, please abuse those smokes. They are incredibly helpful in Battlefield. It will actually de-tag your teammates if they ever get spotted. If you want to go for revives, cross fields, avoid tanks, close distance on tanks, I really feel like other classes should have this, but throw those out as much as you can. Resupply and keep throwing more. Also, wait to get revived, especially if you're playing a mode like Conquest. If you're a new player in this game, your score doesn't actually go down on your team until you spawn. Based on how many points are captured, every time you spawn, it will consume that many tickets. If the enemy team has 3 objectives, they're going to take 3 tickets per kill. But if you get rezzed, it doesn't go down. Hit the button to request a revive, and I promise you get a lot of XP for reviving in this game, as well as repairing. You get a lot. Whether you are a new or returning player as well, the recoil in Battlefield 6 can at times be quite intense, especially early on when you don't really have your fully upgraded gear. But be conscious that you want to use single fire and burst fire, not actually changing your gun to single or burst, although you could do that too. But the longer that you shoot, typically, depending how you build the gun, it's going to have spread. It's going to start deviating where those shots are going. Same thing is true if you are moving while you are shooting. You can get away with it, especially at closer ranges, but if you're trying to shoot somebody from far, it's not like COD where you need rotational aim assist to try and kick in and you need to be moving. In fact, it's the opposite. Also, the tracers that go out, it's only 1 every 4 bullets that has a tracer on it. So you can kind of use that to gauge where your bullets are going, but not every single bullet has a tracer on this, and you'll have to get the feel for the gun as well. In most games as well, bullets actually come out of your eyeballs, but in Battlefield, they come out of the gun. So if you get too close up to cover to where the gun is not clearing the wall, those bullets will go right into that wall. Take a couple steps back, make sure you stand up to get the shots out, and you won't be able to do the same head glitching where just your eyes are sticking out and your bullets are flying out of them. Movement for Battlefield 6 has been a very hot topic, and at launch, we will see a reduced version of what was available from the beta. For the most part, nothing was really removed, but it might feel slower, especially if you were doing things like bunny hopping and chaining those jumps or sliding and shooting a lot. Which makes my next tip, though, even more important. If you do want to move, use your knife. Pull that knife out, which will significantly increase your movement speed. Of course, it comes at a cost. You might get caught with only that knife. I had already mentioned this tip earlier, too. But if you're playing an engineer, pull out that repair torch, and you'll be able to run at full speed with that while carrying the sledgehammer. Destruction is obviously a massive feature in Battlefield 6, and I wish I could go through and show you all the different spots for it. That's going to be a huge part of your map knowledge as you play the game, because you do want to take advantage of this, whether it's destroying something for the sake of opening up a new path, a new ramp to go somewhere, or for that rubble to fall down on the enemies below. Final bit I at least want to mention here is there is a closed playlist. You'll probably see people mention this as well in the community servers area. Each class, as you see for Assault, has a specific weapon that is for them. In this case, assault rifles. By default, on all of the playlists in this game, this is going to be open, so any class can use anything. Even as an assault, I can run a submachine gun if I want to. In closed, it will lock it, so only that class can play with a specific weapon. The free category that's not dependent on your class is carbines, DMRs, and shotguns. You'll also notice for that weapon sling on assault, those are the only universal weapons you can put on. Not the class-specific ones, but you'll see them highlighted on blue, whichever class you're on. The assault gets the benefit with the assault rifle of having faster aim down sight sight speed and sprint to fire. Engineer will get improved hip fire accuracy with submachine guns, so even if you don't have a laser, you can hip fire really well, but it's even better with a laser. Recon will get reduced weapon sway, quicker rechamber speed between those shots, and better breath control where you can hold your breath longer. Support getting the benefit for LMGs with faster transition to aim down sight speed, and no sprint penalty when you're carrying that LMG. You'll still go really quick with it. So whether you want to play to closed or open playlist, at least you know the benefits of those weapons. Finally, let's get to vehicles. This is my favorite part of the game, and it's the part that usually a lot of people never even get into. It's so worth it. Whether you're a veteran or a new player, there's often struggle with it, so the next few tips will be catered solely to you. A new major feature in Battlefield 6 is resupply stations. If you are flying a jet or a helicopter, those are going to be back at your base by your base's anti-air, which if you fly by that, will protect you if it's on your team. If it's the enemy's, will absolutely shred you. Don't go to the enemy team's base. It's automatically shooting you. But flying to your own base will not only heal you, but also refill your ammo. It won't refill your flares, but it'll give you all your bombs and ammo instantly reloaded. There are additional resupply points throughout the map, though, that are designed for the ground vehicles, tanks, infantry vehicles. You drive up to these stations, you'll see them as a little vehicle icon on the map, and it will reload your ammo as well as heal you. Your ammo will slowly refill over time. You'll see that bar slowly climb up, but this will get the job done much faster. You can memorize where these locations are as they are consistent. If you see an enemy jet on fire or helo, they're probably going to be flying back to base, which is a good idea for you to intercept them with an RPG. Also, if they're ever coming down for a strafing run, those bullets are essentially your target of where you want to aim to intercept and hit that RPG right where they're going. So use those tracers to your advantage because that's where they're moving. And as a bonus tip, there's a new engineer item called the supply crate. You can put this down. It'll also resupply ammo and speed up the equipment cooldowns for nearby friendly vehicles. One mistake I always see new players make is shooting the flares right away. Many often pop these flares as soon as you get locked on. You need to wait, though, until the UI changes to saying missile inbound before you pop that flare. Otherwise, that player hasn't wasted any ammo and will simply relock you and shoot once that's done. An additional tip with this is wait until as late as you can before popping those flares, especially if you're out at a very far range, or even if you're coming in for a dive. The later you can pop the flares means the longer you will have to do a run or even escape out. After you pop the flare, there's a delayed additional flares that continue to go for a few seconds, and you want to make the most of that time. It'll let you stay in the action for even longer. If you're playing a tank, not only do you have thermal blocking smoke that can counter the incoming lock-on, you also now have a projectile interceptor. This will essentially absorb any missiles, shells, rockets, grenades, anything explosive that is coming in at you. If you're shooting a tank and you see a blue lines type hit marker, that means they're absorbing all of your shots. Wait a second for that to go away, and if you are a tank driver, make the most of that time. And if you can coordinate as a tank driver with your gunner, you actually have two sets of smokes, a thermal blocking one that the driver gets, but also a smoke wall that the gunner can use, or even countermeasures, which will detect mines and C4s, enabling the operator to activate the countermeasure and actually destroy them. So if you'd rather have this than the smokes, give this to your gunner and make sure they know what they're doing. If you are ever in the gunner seat as well and you happen to have the grenade launcher, this thing has infinite ammo, so spam the bullets out with it as much as you can, and it'll have a very fast reload. Shoot, reload, just keep on spamming them. Same thing if you ever get into the gunner seat for the attack helicopter, the secondary seat for this, the autocannon, spray all those bullets. It's a very fast reload and you can't run out of ammo. No point in being a little tap fire, aim perfect. No. Shoot those things. A tip I think a lot of people don't know as well is in Battlefield, the direction that you look is the direction that you exit a vehicle. So if you're in a sticky situation in a tank, look in the opposite direction and hop out. I also recommend if you are on mouse and keyboard to change the exit vehicle button for jets and helicopters so you never accidentally eject. I've set mine to Y instead of E because I've hit that way too many times to just jump out or completely unbind it and go down with your ship. If you're in the helicopters or the jets, your key is to juggle your flares, popping it as late as you can to do as much damage as you can, getting out of line of sight, waiting for your flares to come back, pressuring the enemy vehicles as much as you can. The fighter jet or stealth jet is going to be the most powerful against other jets, as well as helicopters and air vehicles. The attack jet is devastating to tanks, as well as, of course, to helicopters. The attack helicopter is going to obliterate the tanks, especially the light infantry vehicles. The anti-air is going to be extremely effective against the jets. So if you can take out your main countermeasure first, first, then you can lay waste to all the infantry on the map. And the more that you do your role in taking care of what you need to, specifically as these air vehicles, the more that the rest of the team can actually help you. Ideally by taking out the infantry and the stationary anti-airs. There's going to be stationaries on most of the big maps that have these vehicles. Utilize that to help take out the air support. Also note, some of these vehicles, like the anti-air, only spawn at certain points. So if you capture Charlie objective, you'll see an icon there, and vehicles will spawn at it. These can also be stolen. So if you're on the other team, you can just hop in to one of these vehicles and help turn the battle. So that's it. I even gave you tons more extra tips in here. And while this isn't necessarily the most competitive game in the world, I think a lot of these things will really help you, especially if you're a new player. But again, even if you're coming back. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give it a like. Make sure you subscribe for all the latest from myself. More live streams every single weekday. I'm going to be going crazy with streams off the launch of this game. That's it for this one, though. Thanks so much for watching. StoneMountain64, over and out.